Good afternoon, everybody. Um, First of all, we're saddened to hear the news of Johnny Majors passing today. I have a very dear friend of mine who played for him, and I know the impact that he made in my friend's life, and I'm sure he made an impact on many, many people. And we are certainly thinking about him, his family, and all the players that he affected in his life. And so we're saddened to hear about that news. It's good to see y'all. And I'm ready to answer any questions you might have.
All right, Kelly, want to lead us off? Kelly Stacy.
Yes, sorry. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Wait just a minute, Kelly. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
I'm good.
With protests against racial inequality and police brutality going on around the nation, including in Fayetteville, have you addressed those issues with the team in the past week or so? And if so, what have those conversations looked like?
Well, we certainly addressed our team, and those conversations are between myself and our football team. But we certainly have spoke about it for the last week or however long ago it was when it started, and we talk about it daily.
I know there was a social justice forum for some of the student athletes on campus yesterday. I was just wondering if you were involved in that.
A social justice forum?
Yes, it was on Zoom yesterday. Student athletes put it on, I believe.
No, ma'am. I wasn't aware of it.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
I'm not supposed to say, ma'am.
Trey Biddy.
Hey, Coach.
Trey.
Hey, Trey.
How you doing?
Great.
Hey, I was curious with everybody coming back and after you guys kind of get into the groove of thing with, going through physicals and all that stuff, what will an average day look like during the voluntary workouts for these guys?
Yeah, we still are able to meet 8 hours a week with our kids. We're not using all of that, and we're using a majority of it with our freshmen. We're having separate meetings, basically with our young guys. We're starting from the beginning with them, trying to teach them the playbook and basically trying to get to know those guys a little bit on Zoom. They also are involved in some virtual workouts as they're not here yet. And then with our older guys or the guys who's been here, they're meeting an hour a week individually with their coaches, twice, half hour Monday, Wednesday, and then they're involved in all the team meetings, which we have 4 days a week with them, and then five with the freshmen. And then special teams meetings are involved in those as well. Then weight room wise, we're going 5 days a week in the weight room. There's unlimited hours involved there right now simply because it's voluntary. So they're staying pretty busy. I don't have a whole lot of our guys that are in summer school at this point. I think we have 22 right now. So they have a lot of time on their hands, so we're trying to take up some of that void here.
Do they have access to everything? So if the players wanted to get together on their own and go run their own voluntary practice and stuff, do they have access to the field, or are there still some restrictions on that kind of stuff?
Trey, we're the nutrition part of it. Our Jones Center's open, and that part of it's handled with no problem at all. The fields, why we're still working through that a little bit with the SEC and with our own availability here. Obviously, we'd like to have a field available for them so they can go throw on their own and things of that nature. As of right now, we're not allowed to watch them do anything, not only throwing and catching, but in the weight room as a coach. Now, the strength coaches, obviously, they need to be there for safety reasons and to teach them how to lift correctly. But right now, we're having no access with them whatsoever for the month of June as it is now. And to answer the field question, we're still working on that just a little bit. I think we'll get that answer within the next 2 or 3 days. And obviously, we start up Monday.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Tara? Tara, do you have something? What about Tom?
See you.
Tom, you're on mute.
There we go. How's that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
Hey, Sam, good to talk to you. So how many of the players do you think will be available to start doing this on June 8th when it opens back up? And your New Orleans guys, there's 4 for sure, Fouché, Parker, and Bush, and Burrell. Did they have to quarantine, or are they in the process of that?
They did. They had to quarantine. And so to answer your question, on June the 8th, we should have our entire team minus about 5 to 7 that won't be here quite. A couple of them were waiting on transcripts and things of that nature, but almost our entire team will be here June 8th. Of course, it's voluntary, but we think we're going to have almost 100% of the team here.
Okay, and then a two-parter. What's it going to feel like for that step to take place? That that progress is being made, and also you were at the deal last night in Fayetteville. And I wonder what your kind of personal statement is about being at the protest last night.
Well, the protest was powerful. I'm glad I had an opportunity to go down there. Our team, a lot of the kids on the team were there as well. We had asked them not to be there late. We certainly were not in any shape or form asking them not to go down there because I wanted to go down there. But the protests had gotten dangerous at some points in some places once the sun went down, once it got darker and once the protests were later. And so we just asked our team that if they could and they felt good about it, that we'd like for them to leave before sunset. And they did. And it was very powerful. I mean, I was very honored to be a part of it, and I was glad I was able to go down there along with others on our coaching staff and our football team.
And then the second part of that was just the step that June 8th represents and kind of pushing y'all forward.
It's going to be awful good to get them back. That's the biggest thing, that they can get back here. I'd be lying to you if I knew how much interaction we're going to get to have with them. We still have issues of getting in the building, and there's one entrance to the building, and the bottom line is that entrance is not over here by my door, and we're not able to go into the weight room. So we're going to have a lot of feedback from our strength coaches and all that. But the greatest thing is to know exactly where they are, that they're here, and that they're being able to get in conditioning. And obviously we'll continue our Zoom meetings with them, but it's sure going to feel more like a football team and things of that nature of getting them here on campus. I'm excited to get them back.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bobby?
Hey, Sam. Good to talk to you again. Coaches like to have control. They like to know what's going on with their players on a daily basis. How tough has it been for you and the coaching staff to really not know what these guys are doing and being able to do as far as working?
I'll be honest with you. I've heard different coaches speak about this. I trust our kids, and I trust that they are doing what we ask them to do. obviously, we've had constant contact with our guys. There's reasons behind that. One of them is obviously to see what they're doing, how they're doing with the lifts. But we chose to trust. Our big deal was, why can't you come back in as good a shape as if you were here? And the bottom line is, we trust that our kids are going to be in outstanding shape when they get back.
Have you had any interesting stories from players that have had to go, bench press cinder blocks or carry bales of hay that can't access the gym, or has everybody kind of had access to the normal stuff?
No, there was some guys that, using people as weights and, on their back and different things of that nature, but nothing too crazy. They can't send it to us. So it's just something over Twitter that you're able to see, or Facebook's for my age people, but something.
Thank you, sir.
Nate Allen?
Yeah, Sam, will they, as far as the weight workouts, do they start slowly, or they just start pick it up where you expect them to be when they left?
No, we're gonna start slow with our kids. The biggest, what you don't want to do is get them in here and go so rapid that you're injury prone. We're gonna find a base. We're gonna find where they're at. Obviously, we can't test them. I wanted to, but NCAA said we can't test our kids when they get back in here. So to see where they're at, but we'll find out. But we're gonna start slow with them. We have plenty of time to get them in shape, and we're gonna use an extra day than we normally would. And therefore, that's part of the reason for the extra day, because we're going to go a little bit slower with them.
Also, if somebody does you detect that they have COVID-19, kind of how many people get quarantined? Do you have to quarantine the people on the wait staff? What kind of the what ifs on that?
Well, it's anybody who's come in contact with them, and that right now that's a 10-day. Isolation, basically. So it just depends, that's why right now we're at 10 to 12 foot in the weight room. So the contact won't be made with them. Obviously we're not doing anything combative or anything of that nature. So if someone had it and they have been together or close to somebody else on our team, then they're going to have to be quarantined as well. And that's a 10-day process as of right now.
Thank you.
Hutch?
Nate actually took my question right there, so I'm good.
Otis?
Hey, Sam, can you hear me? Hey, how you doing, guy?
Good, buddy.
Okay. Hey, is Jerry Jacobs going to play safety or corner, or do you know yet?
He's on our board at corner.
Okay.
I don't know, just depends on how we are there at that position and whether he's a starter. Obviously, if he's able to start, we'll leave him there. We're going to try him at corner first. Obviously, we feel like it's a little bit easier to move a guy from corner to safety than it is safety to corner.
Right. Okay. On this one, Catrell Wallace, is there any update on him, of his status or anything, Sam?
Yeah, Catrell Wallace will not be on our football team.
Okay.
And from what I'm understanding, he's going to go to a junior college.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you, Coach.
Uh-huh.
Matt Jones? Matt, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't have any questions.
It's good to talk to you, Matt.
Let's work back around to Tom.
Okay, so TJ Hammonds, is he back on scholarship? And do you have any other news like that in terms of scholarship movement from the winter?
No, the only thing is we put TJ Hammonds on scholarship yesterday. He signed it yesterday, and we're happy to be able to do that.
What did you see from him that allowed you to make that decision?
He's fast. He got a lot of speed, and you can beat people two ways as far as physically. You can beat them with speed, or you can beat them with bigness. You can beat them with large humans. And right now, a little faster for us to get fast guys than it is to get a whole team of big guys. So he's fast, but the bottom line is he did what we asked him to do in school, and he did what we asked him to do in the off season, the 8-week program we were here. He is athletic, and he did what we asked him to do. So in my opinion, he earned the right to get his scholarship back.
Okay. And talking to Rakeem, he said that you guys had maybe 4 conversations about, whether to declare or come back. And at first he probably was going to go the other way, but he just heard from you, and then he went back and talked to his parents and made that call. What can, to the extent you can, the discussions with Rakeem about, this season?
When you have those discussions with kids that are debating whether to leave or not, the number one thing is you have to find out their NFL eval. You have to find out what their worth is in the National Football League. And we had a conversation about that. And then at that point, you kind of you have to let them know how much you'd like to have them back. But it's like at Georgia, you had a conversation with Andrew Thomas and Isaiah Wilson, and their eval came back first round, and what do you say? I mean, bye. There's not a whole lot you can sit there and say when a guy's going to sign $28 million guaranteed and $6.5–7 million guaranteed. But there's so many others that aren't in that particular position. And so we talked to him about it. We found out about things that he needs to work on to improve for his value to go up. And because if value is not going to go up, he should have went out. And so we basically talked to him about how we can help him increase his value. And I don't ever believe that he really wanted to leave the football program. I think he was wondering, what is my status at this time if I leave? And I think certainly him coming back, he had a great off season. It's going to help our football team, obviously, but I believe that we can help him as well in getting upgraded in the draft.
Just briefly, what kind of ways? How can he be a better back?
Well, he has to continue to catch the football better. I think that's one of the things that came back on his evaluation, and we're going to give him opportunities to pass protect a little bit more and become a more physical pass protector. Obviously, he has great running skills and those things of that nature, but those are 2 things that we've talked to him about that he has to improve his game to certainly move up the draft board. And to be honest with you, that is one of our jobs. One of our jobs is to get our players drafted as high as they possibly can, and we're going to go to work for it.
Tara, you have everything?
I think she's muted.
I'm good, actually. Thank you guys so much, though.
Bob, are you there?
I guess it's me. Sam, also, some of the ones who have been hurt, like Clary and Wagner and some of them, are they all now able to lift weights and do everything that they need to do?
Yes, that's when we come back, that we're going to have guys rolling. And so we were able to get those injuries handled quickly as possible in January. Some were in December. And so we're going to be healthy as we possibly can be starting June 8th.
And as far as drills other than weightlifting, just kind of what was it basically just running, or do y'all have like sprint drills or agility drills all set up for them as well?
Well, it's strength and conditioning, so that the weight room will be able to handle those, and then in those will be some agilities, in those will be long stride, you know, depending on what day we elect to do those. But as far as ball drills and individual drills and all that, that strictly has to be up to the individual player on how they participate in those drills, and those would be on their own, non-coach supervised at some facility.
Thanks.
How about Bob this time? Bobo.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I can hear you, Bob.
Hey, Sam. I'm Matt Jones, patches there on his phone. I'm kind of embarrassed to say I'm less I'm more technologically challenged than Nate, which is pretty embarrassing. No offense, Nate. But hey, I know a lot of coaches around the country have tweeted things about the protests. I don't know how many of them gone to protests. Maybe a lot have. But what was it about the situation made you feel like it was important for you to be there? And was your whole staff there, or how many of you guys were there?
Well, I didn't count the staff. I asked them if they wanted to go down there. I was going, and so I can't answer that. What made me go, I think you asked, because I felt like I needed to go. I felt like in my heart I wanted to go. I wanted to support our football team. I wanted to support the protest, and that's what I believe in. You know, I think you can tweet about stuff. You can do a lot of things. You can take a picture for somebody to show. You can do whatever you want, but actions are strong. And I felt like, for me, the best way for me to address the situation was to go be a part of what could be a solution. So no other reason. I didn't go down there if someone would take my picture. I didn't go down there. Went down there because I wanted to support the players on our football team and their families.
Had you ever been to a protest before, and what do you think you got? What was it like? I mean, what did you get out of it?
It was awesome. Number one, the people there were incredible. And I don't know, I got a feeling of that I was proud I went. I don't know how to explain it. I felt the same way coming in this morning to work. I went by the square this morning, and it was such a great situation. I mean, you wouldn't even know there was anybody down there. And, you know, so people of Fayetteville did a wonderful job with the protest, and I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, if I can slip in a couple more since I got stifled earlier. Hunter said last week, you know, you're seeing a lot of schools, even a lot of big schools, staff are taking pay cuts, furloughs. Hunter said that nobody's doing that at Arkansas on, you know, the academic side or the athletic side yet. How happy are you about that nobody's, at least for now, having to take pay cuts or furloughs?
Well, I mean, I can't say I'm sad about not taking a pay cut. I mean, it'd be like you. I mean, if you had your choice to take a pay cut or not, I'm sure you wouldn't. But well, you'll have to answer that one. But the bottom line is that we will do whatever we need to do to have success at Arkansas and keep all programs alive. And if we need to take a pay cut, we'll take a pay cut. I mean, it is what it is. The circumstances have changed, and we got to roll with it, whatever it may be. That's what we have to do. But every program at the University of Arkansas is important. So if it takes a salary, part of a salary to keep another program alive, then that's what we'll do.
And then just one last one. Who was your friend who played for Johnny Majors? And have you ever met Johnny Majors, been around him, know him at all?
You know, I met Johnny Majors, I believe, I don't know positively, but I believe when I was at Tennessee, when I was coaching at Tennessee. And Rob Bolks is his name. And Rob Bolks and I coached, we're on the same staff at Kansas. And he speaks very, very highly of him. And I think Rob was a pretty good player for Iowa State there. But they go back to a reunion all the time. And you know what it is. If you go back to a reunion, you're going back to see somebody, and it's important to you. And he would always go back to see Johnny.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Trey, Biddy?
Coach, there's been some talk about something like an OTA type of deal, maybe mid-July or something. I was wondering if you've heard anything on that, what your thoughts on maybe how that might play out and in conjunction with fall camp.
Well, when all this started happening, Trey, I got on the phone with the NFL folks because my feeling was because of spring ball and all those things, I felt like we needed an OTA situation where we could at least go out and you know, you talk about injuries. A big part of injuries is not knowing what you're doing, going the wrong direction, not fitting the right gap. I mean, there's conditioning, there's strength, and then there's knowing what you're doing. And so I did reach out to several NFL teams, express that to the SEC office, what my feeling were. As I understood, there was some other coaches felt the same way. I don't know exactly. I'm hearing that there might be a possibility mid-July, somewhere in there, that we may get some type of action, OTA-wise and all that. We're prepared for it. We're also prepared if we don't get it. But I think it would really help us. It'd be a non-physical type situation, all those things. But we need terminology on the field. We need technique on the field. I mean, we need all those things that we didn't have the opportunity to get in spring ball. We need to be able to do it. And it doesn't have to be a tackle situation or anything like that. We're just trying to learn. So, yeah, we've talked about it and we're prepared for it. Just depends on what the hour situation is, Trey, to be honest with you, how much they're going to give us, 8 or 10 hours, depend on if they go to 12, if they go to 20, whatever the hours are. But we need on the field movement. We need we need walkthroughs, things of that nature that we didn't get a chance to get to.
I don't know if there's any way to make up for recruiting. Maybe you have some ideas, but the dead period is pushed to July 31st. Do you foresee maybe I know there are more commitments right now across the country than there were this time last year, which is interesting. Do you think things will still maybe push back to where maybe more kids sign in the later period versus 80% signed in the early period last year? Or how do you think things will go?
You know, Trey, what I can see right now is I can see a lot of official visits during the season. You know, I think, you know, right now, if you're a young man, you're sitting there going, can I wait 95 days or 94 days or whatever the number is till the first game? Well, that's one program. So if you're going to try to visit 5, you're sitting there this summer, and of course you're not being able to do much. I think it'll help the kids when they're able to go back to their high schools, which Arkansas is now. I think Florida and some of the other states are starting to aid Texas. But once they're able to go start doing something, I think it'll help them with recruiting, because right now all they're doing is sitting around and reading about themselves or getting calls and Zoom meetings and all those things. So I think that there'll still be a pretty large percentage of guys that sign early. I do. And you know, like you said, there's more now that are committed than there has been in the past. And I think a lot of that is their minds going, can I wait another 100 days? Can I do this for another 100 days? And the answer is No. And I think you've seen a spurt of recruiting commits going on here lately. And I think a big reason is they came out and said, hey, we're dead till July 31st. And they're just like, well, then I'm going to go ahead and commit somewhere. I don't know that, but that's what I feel. So to answer your question, I think that there'll be a pretty high percentage of kids still sign early, because I think the official visits will amp up, which I think at that point hurts high school football. I do. I mean, it'd be hard for you to play a Friday night game and have your mind totally on that Friday night game when you know after the game, or it's 5:30 in the morning, you're flying to wherever you're flying to. So it's just like anything, you know, and I know, it's just a situation that we're all going to have to deal with.
And last question, the number 0 is available this year. Have you had any players express interest in the 0? And also, is that a receiver eligible number?
Hey, great question. I asked for the rule on who can wear 0. And yes, I have had kids ask me about the number 0. You know, the bottom line is I would assume, I don't know this, but I would assume that whoever wears it, the first player ever to wear 0 at Arkansas. Now, somebody will correct me if they were able to wear it back when I was playing, you know, but the bottom line is, I think it's pretty important. You know, I don't have anybody currently in 0 on the football team. If we were going to use it, we may use it for, you know, some type of best player from the week, most valuable player from the week before, or most valuable scout team player, or whatever we may do. We may pass it around this year. But again, we have to find out who can wear it.
Thanks, Coach.
Ty Richardson.
Coach, are you worried about we're talking about rules a little bit earlier. Are you worried about that you guys seem to be like following these rules? Would you be worried about some of the other SEC coaches that you guys are going against this fall, maybe toting the line / crossing the line a little bit heading up to season?
No. I mean, they have compliance officers there, so nah.
And then you've mentioned before just like the most difficult part of everything going on right now, not necessarily pertaining to the social issues, but just with COVID-19 and everything, is building relationship with your players. How excited are you just to get them back on campus? And I know you won't be able to obviously do stuff for a little while, but just to have them back in Fayetteville. It's
incredible. I mean, that's my whole life. I mean, that's who I am. You know, I'm a coach, and it's hard to coach when there's nobody to coach, you know, and so, I mean, we're all excited about them. We love our team. We love the guys on our team. We want them back, and we can't wait for that to happen. And we're adamant about it. I mean, that's our whole life, and we need these kids back, and hopefully they need us. But we certainly are excited to get them back. Very.
Tom, do you have any more?
I'm good. Thanks, Sam. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
We got time for maybe 2 more. Trey, are you good? Hutch?
You know, there hadn't been a whole lot of change, you know. It's hard to think of a question.
All right, that's going to wrap us up. Appreciate you guys. We'll hopefully see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Have
Coach.
a great day.
Appreciate it.